What do you think about things that are underrated? How amazing they were. You didn't realize how cool they would be. So what are some things that are maybe overrated? Like people talk too much about them or they expect too much and they're actually not that special or noteworthy when you're actually living here.
I think that a lot of people have like this picture of Korea that is built in dramas or in K-pop. Like I'm not a big fan of this. But this is what I actually saw, that there's really a lot of people, like especially when I was exchange students, we were partying a lot. A lot of girls were thinking like, oh, I will go to the street and I will find my dream boyfriend and everything in a second. They were thinking about this picture of this like perfect rich CEO, like who will just be a prince and everything. And
sounds like Secret Garden.
Yeah, it's kind of that. And I like saw a lot of girls that were really disappointed. And I also saw it internet a lot.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So many foreigners, before coming to this country, learn about South Korea through K-pop, dramas, friends of theirs, or research of their own. A lot of these things, particularly K-pop or K-dramas, can paint an inaccurate picture of South Korea. So in this video, I asked some foreigners living here, what are some things that are overrated about living in South Korea? You know, things that you heard would be amazing, or maybe there's K-pop idols walking around the streets everywhere, things like this. And then I asked them, what are some things that are underrated about living here? Really nice or convenient things that aren't talked about that much, or that they didn't hear about. This was a very interesting video and I think you guys will really enjoy it. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Without further ado, let's begin.
Hey guys, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from France.
Me too, from France.
Okay. What are you doing in Korea?
I'm here to study language, Korean language at Yonsei for a year.
I studied in Busan for 1 semester.
What do you think about things that are underrated? How amazing they were. You didn't realize how cool they would be.
Toilets.
Toilets?
Yes,
Okay.
like it's super clean. And,
Clean toilets. You can expect that if you come to Korea. Okay.
and even the streets, like I was shocked because it's really, really super clean. In France, it's not the case.
Okay. So in
And-
France, dirty toilets, dirty streets.
Yes.
On my first day, when I arrived, I had a lot of luggage. I had 2 suitcases, very heavy, and it was very difficult to carry in the subway. And I was really amazed by how people helped me. Even though Koreans might have a tendency to ignore others, I found that a lot of people helped me carry my luggage. I think I will be grateful for it during my whole stay here.
That one moment.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't really expect people to care and to help me because I was the weird foreigner coming.
Weird
stinky from the
foreigner.
plane. Stinky from the plane with a broken suitcase.
I know what you're saying, yeah. Have you found that Korean people have like helped you other times as well?
Yeah, at the bank, for example, I had to do some administrative stuff, and I didn't really know how to express it in Korean, in Korean language. It was a bit messy because the system is also different.
Yeah.
However, the girl working at the front desk, she really helped me because I had banking issues, and thanks to her, everything went well, even though I wasn't able to express it very precisely.
That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from America.
Can I ask, what do you do in Korea?
I'm a student. I'm studying Korean, yes. Last year I was here at Yonsei Daehakyo and I was studying biotechnology. I guess when I was sick, it was very easy for me to go to a pharmacy or to a doctor to get a checkup,
Yeah.
which is very different in America, considering the American healthcare system. So I did like that aspect. It was easy. Even as like a foreigner, I was able to go to the doctor and, get a checkup and get medicine easily. So I liked that.
Yeah, and as someone who's going to be a doctor, that's probably an important aspect for you, right?
Yeah, healthcare is very important, and so I like the healthcare system here. If you're here for long term, you're required to get health insurance, which is nice because in America, not every citizen even has health insurance. Especially because I want to work in the medical system, I really appreciate that fact.
What if you really hurt your knee in America? Would you go to the hospital?
Not unless I really, really, really had to.
And when will you go to the hospital here if you get a cold?
It took me a minute to actually go just because I was kind of nervous of the language barrier. Once I went and they just gave me some medicine and then I was like, oh, okay, like actually this is pretty simple, pretty easy. But in America, actually, I think it took me like 2 years to go to the doctor, so.
It's because that conditioning of it being so expensive, eh?
Yeah, just like, if you don't really need it, then why risk having to spend all that money on medical bills?
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Alexander Hoffmann. I'm from Germany.
What brought you to Korea?
Like in Germany, I'm an IT consultant. My wife is like an engineer, and both of us were like a little bit, let's say, fed up with our jobs and thinking of a new adventure. And and that's why we were planning like some time abroad, from Germany. And we're like here now planning to be here for 1 year at least in Korea. And we were like arriving in August. And at the moment we're going to the Sogang KLEK, the Korean Language Education Center, and trying to learn a little bit of Hanguko, a little bit of Korean. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a cool decision. So you and your wife, you're just like, I'm tired of this everyday same,
yes.
living in Germany.
Yes.
Let's both go to Korea and learn Korean at a language school together.
Yeah, right.
So cool.
Like you make some research about Korea, and I think the word convenient is dropped here and there. Like there are many things, like the stores are open really long, and the transportation, everything is really, really convenient. So I think like in the daily life, so I go to Sogang, as I just mentioned, and I'm living at the moment in Yeonhee-dong. So for me, it's like with a bus, like 15-20 minutes kind of to get from my house to the Sogang. And it's just like the transportation is really convenient. All the convenience stores, I mean, they are called convenience stores, maybe for a reason. So you can even get some food in the night if you need it. Personally, for me, I didn't expect it to be such a major factor for me, like in daily life.
Sure.
I really appreciate it. Yeah.
It's almost like the city is designed in a way to transport you around and satisfy all your needs. Transportation, food, entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like built into the city here.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas in like perhaps Europe and where I'm from in the US, the individual has to put that into their own house and car and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from the US, from California. I'm here on an exchange program at Hungik University. Just the idea of how many like entertainment things there are to do here in Korea.
In the city.
Yeah, like there's board game cafes, there's like so many things, laser tag, there's just so many things that you can do, and then of course a bunch of different photo studios.
Nothing like that where you're from?
No, not at all. I mean, everything's super spread out as well, so
True.
I think it's really hard to compare Korea to the US.
Yeah.
I'm from Wisconsin.
Cool.
USA. It's just the lifestyle is so good. The culture, people are so nice just all the time.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It just like is a place where you feel like you belong. At least for me. So
I feel like you belong here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What needs to happen for you to feel belonged?
That's so deep.
Okay.
Oh gosh. I'm like a busybody, so I always need something to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like in Korea, there's always something for everyone. Say you're a gamer. The PCbangs are so fun.
Yeah.
I became a gamer because of them.
Oh yeah.
So
which game?
That's really fun. Overwatch.
Overwatch. Okay, Overwatch. Cool. So you're never bored here.
You're never
That's what you're
bored
saying.
here.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Poland,
Okay.
and I'm a student here in Korea.
Okay. We can start with underrated. What are some things that are much better than you thought?
Much better is delivery system. Definitely for me, it's like groceries, like literally everything, like fresh food, like really fresh. So this is really amazing, like meat, veggies, fruits. In my country, it's usually I have to go to the store to buy it because it's like fresh. But here, the system is so perfect that they are also like you will get it in front of your doors in like special box that keeps temperature. It's really amazing. I love it.
I feel safe here. That's one of the biggest things actually that I noticed when I moved here. I had never left the country before and I came here alone, but I have never felt really unsafe being here, even just walking. I'm right now in Sinchon by myself, but I think it's a great time if you have the chance to visit Korea.
Can you walk around alone at night?
I definitely have, going to like restaurants or to convenience stores. I've gone alone. I've walked from Hongdae to Sinchon alone, or not really alone, with friends, but as a female, and never felt unsafe.
Cool. The scariest part of today was me coming up to you and saying, "Hey, you want to be in my video?"
Yeah, honestly.
Okay. So what are some things that are maybe overrated? Like people talk too much about them or they expect too much and they're actually not that special or noteworthy when you're actually living here.
I think that a lot of people have like this picture of Korea that is built in dramas or in K-pop. Like I'm not a big fan of this. So, but this is what I actually saw, that there's really a lot of people, like especially when I was exchange students, we were partying a lot. A lot of girls were thinking like, oh, I will go to the street and I will find my dream boyfriend and everything in a second. They were thinking about this picture of this like perfect rich CEO, like who will just be a prince and everything.
Sounds like Secret Garden.
Yeah, it's kind of that. And I like saw a lot of girls that were really disappointed that they met normal people. Yeah, so I think this is, and I also saw on internet a lot that this kind of thing. So maybe that's a little bit overrated. That people have this picture built on like media and everything.
Korea is very convenient. However, when you're a foreigner and you don't have a resident card, when you're not a long-term resident, some aspects of the life here can be quite inconvenient, such as ordering food online, shopping online. When you don't have an ARC resident number, it's basically impossible to verify your credit card information. Even opening a bank account here can be quite difficult. So you can really feel a difference and maybe difficulty to integrate into the society here.
So you didn't expect how difficult it would be to really set your life up and integrate into Korea?
Yes, if you don't have this, I felt like outsider. I know I'm not Asian and I'm not Korean, so I know I can stand out, but there's a difference in the way we're treated. Like we don't have access to the same things. Even ordering online, if you want to buy tickets, for example, for K-pop concerts, there's no way you can access or register on some websites because your name has too many characters compared to Korean names, or your name doesn't fit the Korean standard, so you can't even for administrative things, it can be very difficult to integrate. Yeah.
Well, maybe you could become a Korean citizen and change your name. Maybe that's the way.
That's not the plan.
No, that's not a good plan? Okay, it takes too long.
Yeah.
Like I think the main thing was when we were researching is like many people are talking about the food. The food is so great and the food is good. I like the food, most of it. But I also like our Western food, of course, like from Europe and maybe some American stuff also. From time to time, but I think like for me personally the food is a little bit overrated.
Okay.
Because again, when I talk to people, a lot of them are saying, oh, the food is really, really good in Korea.
It's gonna cure cancer.
Yeah, maybe, right? Yeah. No, but for me, maybe it's a little special because I in general have like a little bit like problems with eating like too spicy food, and a lot of the food is quite spicy.
True.
Not everything is spicy, and you can sometimes also get like the less spicy version, which is Kenchanayo. But like in general, like a lot of foods are spicy, or even like coffee. I like to drink my coffee with a little bit of sugar. For example, like a vanilla latte is like actually like probably my favorite drink. And I always have the feeling it's like really, really sweet. Also in comparison to Germany, like because they put in a lot of syrup and stuff like that. So I think like again, like the food, coffee and everything is quite nice, but I think for me personally, like from the things I was like hearing from other people, it's a little bit overrated maybe.
When I moved here, people were like, oh, you're gonna see like idols just everywhere you go, and I have not seen any idols. There was one idol once, BI, he went to a noraebang and like you could see him from outside. But other than that, no idols anywhere. I've seen busking a lot, but that's about it. Also, actually, when I moved here the first time, I got sick for like 2 months because the air quality is like air pollution poisoning.
True.
So those are the two biggest things I think that was overrated.
Yeah. Kind of shocked you a little bit.
Yeah. Other than that, right now, I don't really have anything negative to say. Yeah, I enjoy living here. It hasn't been that long, but I really enjoy it.
I'm not really a coffee person, so I think the cafe culture is a little bit overrated. Just because there's so many to choose from, so I don't know how all these cafes make business.
So you're not a big coffee guy, you said?
No, actually I'm not. A lot of people come here for like I feel like either K-pop or like the cafe culture, and I am here for neither.
So why Korea then?
I chose this place specifically because I know nothing about this place, so I thought it would be a really big challenge for me to go to a place that I know nothing about.
Wow, that's a really cool reason for coming here.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of the tourist attractions that you see on like Pinterest and Instagram are actually very underwhelming. So,
like where?
You know, Starfield Library.
Yeah.
I know there's a new one in Suwon, so I haven't been to that one yet. But the one in Gangnam is really tiny, and it's packed with people all the time.
At the COEX?
Yes, at COEX. So that one was super underwhelming when I saw it. I mean, I feel like people should still go, especially if you're here as a tourist. But there's definitely a lot more interesting places to see.
Yeah.
Like the small neighborhoods. Like, so I live in Paeki.
Yeah.
It's in Dongdaemun, right next to KU. And that neighborhood's super tiny, but it has so many good places to see. And I really like visiting the little shops with like the halmonis, the Korean grandmas.
Yeah.
They make the best food, and it's so cheap, and it's way better than the places that you see on Instagram. So I would just say like tourist spots.
The tourist attractions, they're kind of overrated.
Yes.
You know, maybe Gangnam Station, Starfield Mall. Too
Definitely.
crowded, too many people.
Yes.
The thing that is hard for me here is meeting people that are from Korea, so actual Koreans. Even in my classes, it's really hard to kind of make Korean friends, and I often tend to make more like international friends.
That's pretty common, I
Yeah.
will say. You will make Korean friends.
Yeah,
It just takes longer.
I've made a few, and I have tried to hang out with them a little bit more, but it is really hard to break that barrier, especially if they don't speak English or aren't comfortable speaking English.
True.
For my time here, it's been really hard to make more guy friends because there doesn't tend to be a lot of guys who come to Korea. I think if guys think of studying abroad, it's they want to go to like Japan for anime and things like that.
Or
like
Thailand.
Yeah, or Thailand. But I think Korea specifically, more girls come here just because of the culture that K-dramas and K-pop breeds.
That's a really interesting point. I actually made a video about this, about how there's more and more foreign women coming to Korea for K-pop, for the K-dramas.
I found it very fascinating when I showed up. I live in a guest house which holds around 26 people, and 23 of them are women. So it's very, very weird. I was thinking about it, and even in my international club at school, I found it very weird that there was a lot of women compared to the guys in the international club.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.